So another Sketchup snippet, and this time we're looking at the idea that you can use what you've already drawn to actually help you draw the next thing. Now, there's often parts in SketchUp drawings where you put a lot of effort in and you go to a lot of effort to make it accurate. So you want accurate parts to fit in together with those parts. So here's an example which you may have seen already from exercise 5.1, and if you've reached that far yet. And a perfect example of that is these slots that we've already made in this part of the product. And if we look at the exercise book, you can see that there's a piece in between that holds them together at 370, and the details of that are this. So it fits in that hole there perfectly, and then it's 370 across and a total height of 80. So now we can draw that really easily. These are already components, so I can actually use them as a basis for my drawing. I've already moved them 370 apart, so we know that that is correct. So let me just prove that to you by taking my tape measure tool and measuring that. You can see it's 370. And so what I can do here is I can do this. Let me just deselect everything before we get started. Right, so I can take my rectangle tool and I'm going to draw a very quick rectangle from that point there to that point there. Now I know that that's exactly the right size because I've used the corners of my existing slot as my guides, and I've snapped onto those corners in order to make that rectangle. And that's going to be the basis of making that whole part. So take my push-pull tool and I'm going to push-pull all the way across. And we can zoom in again so you can see where I'm going to with my push-pull tool. And if I touch on that edge right there, especially at that corner, then I know that I'm push-pulling to exactly the right length. And now I have that. Still not entirely correct because this is only 35 tall. If you remember, that slot there had a height of 35, and that was our guide slot. So we need to, in the middle of it, make it taller. So we can do that again by using the existing piece to help us. Now I'm going to take my line tool here and I'm going to go from that end point there to that end point there. Now you can't really see a line, or you won't see a line until I hide the pieces that we're using as a guide for this piece. And draw a line from that point to that point. And because we're using the accuracy of what we've already drawn to help us draw our shapes, we know we're going to be having pieces that fit together absolutely perfectly. So I'm going to select those both, and then I'm going to hold down my control key, and then this little contextual menu comes up, and I'm not going to choose make components, but what I am going to choose is hide. And that allows me to get rid of those for a moment. They're not gone. I haven't deleted them. They're just not visible right now. So take the rotate tool and then look underneath, and you can see now those two lines that I just drew are still there because they weren't inside those components. So now what's happened is those lines have separated that bottom surface. And of course, you know now that that allows me to take my push-pull tool and add the extra height that we need on here. And the extra height we need, well, we need to get from 35 to 80, so we need to add 45 to our height, which is what I've just done. And there it is. Okay, now all I need to do is make it into a component. And I've just successfully used my existing drawing to make another part. Now, if you want to know how to unhide once you've hidden something, you go to Edit, Unhide. You can unhide everything if you've hidden more than one thing. Or for me, I've only hidden that, so I'm just going to choose Unhide Last. And back they come. Now that I've got those back, I can just take what I drew already, move it and copy it at the same time, drag it over here, snap it into place, and then I have my completed frame for my cabinet.